Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Community Talk Show. Apologies, I'm running a bit late today, so our show this evening will be slightly shorter than usual. As always, I'm your host, Mohammed Amin, and inshallah for the next half an hour, 40 minutes, we will be covering an interesting topic. I've got my guest, Satwinder, from our program. As you know, a gentleman came all the way over from Wolverhampton last week to have a quick chat and discuss. And there's a couple of things I think it's important that we need to refresh, and a couple of things it's important that we just need to cover, and hopefully we will try and see. So I've got Satwinder on the line at the moment, and I just wanted to make sure that we have this conversation. Satwinder, you're live on Radio Aapke Awaaz. Once again, thank you very much for taking the time out this evening.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing again?
Thank you very much. Really appreciative of your call. There's something that I've seen on your social media which I thought it was important. And I wanted to have a quick word with you about that. And I wanted to viewers to learn of that. About you being focused every day, and you are focused with your fitness regime. Tell us a bit about that, please.
Okay, so I've been I'm a weightlifter.
Yeah.
For 2 years. And I do it in my own garage.
Yeah.
So I've got my own weight bench, I've got my own weight, so I don't have to worry about going to the gym. Now, when I had that split up with my ex-girlfriend 2 years ago.
Yeah. Sorry, Satwinder. Can I just stop you something? This week, on the back of our program last week, I've had a number of personal calls. Viewers and listeners, you're listening to Mohammed Amin on the Community Talk Show on Radio Aapke Awaaz, www.aapkeawaaz.co.uk. I'm live here with Satwinder, who's on the line here on a live call-in. And the reason why I've changed the program slightly this week is because a number of people rang me personally on my phone. And a number of people said, you do the Community Talk Show. We've got this issue. Can you give us some guidance? And I clearly stated to them, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a practitioner. I'm just a community advocate. And I said, no, I know somebody who's gone through certain circumstances in his life, and this individual is not going down that route. But I thought it was important to speak to somebody who can give me that guidance at very short notice. And this is why I've asked the privilege of you to come on again, Satwinder. So basically, this individual is working for a large, well-known company, and unfortunately, COVID-19 came. He was off through illness or what have you, and now he's suffering from anxiety and depression. And I said, I know the best man who can get you out of that one. So this is the reason why I'm asking you these type of questions, because I think it's important that they learn from you as well.
So with anxiety and depression, the biggest thing you've got to do is develop the best relationship with yourself. And when I went through that, I always say that the one person you turn to that will never break your heart is yourself. So when you focus on you, and the reason why a lot of people got through anxiety and depression is because there's so much energy put into other people and other things, saying they're doing this, they're doing that, they've got this, they've got that, but we neglect ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, when I started with myself, I started weightlifting. I weighted 5 days a week. I martial arts trained 5 days a week. I've seen my own personal growth. And suddenly, whatever happens outside of the world, what other people are doing is what other people are doing. What matters to me is what I'm doing, what I'm achieving in my life.
Right.
And because I did it for myself, I built my own sort of in my garage.
That's right. Yeah.
I built myself up because I focused on me, and that is what is helping me keep on top of my anxiety and depression. And not just that. I mean, in my living room right now, I've surrounded myself with a bunch of things. I've got my written affirmations, reminding me of my life. I've got my book sitting in front of me, my book that I authored sitting in front of me, 2 of my articles, including the one when I was on cover, that sitting in front of me. I've got my role model sitting in front of me. Everything that is around me is all positive. It's all giving me inspiration. It's all giving me the sort of, get up and fight. And also, it's not just about what you surround yourself by, but it's also what you do. So, for example, what are you watching on TV? Are you watching the news and things that are especially are you watching soaps, or are you watching films that inspire you? Are you watching videos of people who have been through the same problems in their life and have come through it? Because what you feed your mindset is always going to affect what you do and how you think in the next 2 minutes, or 3 hours, 3 hours, next day, few days. So it's all about what you feed your mindset with, what you do, what you surround yourself by, who you surround yourself by, who are you listening to? Are you listening to people that are telling you, oh no, you shouldn't do that, or why are you doing this, or are you listening to people that are lifting you up and saying, yes, you should go and do that because you are worth it.
But what it is unfortunately with what's happening, if somebody is down, somebody is not very well, they watch the television news, and even the news is quite depressing at the moment with fellow humanitarian issues in what's happening with the global world, and that's happening everywhere. And I think sometimes if somebody can give somebody some tips on some basically try to convert the negative energy into positive energy. And I obviously didn't use those terminology, but you know what I mean was any negativity, try and think of a positive mental attitude, try and think progressively about a potential solution of what you can do. And obviously there are medical solutions as well out there and what have you, but more importantly, unfortunately, no medical solution will solve your problem. And like I said to you at the beginning of the program, I'm not a medical practitioner. There's more qualified people than myself who can talk about that area. But what I felt was that the fact that I've been approached on 2 occasions this week, and they said, oh, Uncle, I know you do the program and this and that, the other. I know you do this. I know you do. I'm going through this. What can I do? And one individual said, yeah, I know you do a program on Radio Apkivaz. And I said, yeah, just go on radioapkivaz.co.uk, listening to the programs, listening to our talk shows, and maybe you can learn something from there. And then I said, well, look, we discussed, and then there's a couple of other individuals that I spoke to, we discussed about their personal financial stuff and their personal life and other bits and pieces. And that's why I thought, you see, right, I know a man who can talk about positivity, but it's when you're down, what do you do to bring yourself back up?
Well, what I always do is you think about the things that you say to yourself, and I said this to yourself last time, you think about the negative things you say to yourself, and sometimes it's hard to pay attention to yourself, but when you have a friend phone you and say the very same things to you, you suddenly put everything aside and you're there for them. So if you imagine yourself saying the negative things to yourself, and imagine your friend phone you on the phone and saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
What would you say to them to lift them up? And when you think about that, because we're always there for our friends and family.
And to be honest with you, that's why I said to one of the individuals, I said, look, guys, I know I've been there and I understand what you're going through. And I said, look, this is what I would do is get up every morning. And obviously, I said, make sure you pray, do your morning prayer, get up every morning, have a positive attitude and just go out for a quick jog. And I said, it's all right me advocating that go out for a quick jog. I don't go out for a jog or anything. But I said, look, let me give you some tips. Go out, even if it's a quick walk. Just put your gloves and scarf on and put a big coat on and make sure you go out for a walk, even if it's a cold morning. That positive energy will make you feel better when you come back. And then I said, look, while you're walking, if you come across somebody, talk to somebody, and I said, again, I didn't know the individual circumstances. So you probably haven't been out of the house for the last week, 10 days or whatever it was. And it's just trying to get into that framework, isn't it?
It is. And getting out of the house is so important because when you think down and just staying in the house is the last thing you want to do because you'll find yourself focused on it.
Yeah.
Their nature's powerful. Nature's very inspiring. Nature, you don't know what nature can do to you. Get out there, have a walk, realise, how relaxing and inspiring it is, and also talking to people as well. Make sure you have a good support network. Make sure you're connected with the right people because some of us keep on feeling in.
Yeah.
And, if you put too much air in a room at first, we're the same. If we keep our emotions in. We've got it first.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is get out there, talk to people, talk to somebody who can confide in and say, this is how you feel. And don't feel ashamed about it, because a lot of people feel ashamed about letting out their feelings. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I've been there, you've been there, everyone's been there. But the biggest thing is you've got to come out and say, this is how I'm feeling. And you don't realise how much of a game changer it is.
And then the fact you like I said, for argument's sake, you train in your gym every morning, you do your daily job as well, you come back and you do your bit with regards to whether you're mentoring, your therapy work and what have you. And that's that's like a way of life for everybody, isn't it?
It is, and training is a way of life.
And also, like if I got a problem, I keep that in myself, then I'm going to suffer, and that problem doesn't go away. But the fact is, they always say, like if you got a problem, you share it with somebody, it's a problem halved, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that has a massive impact. But you see, it's, when somebody is down and down, you can't just knock them down to the ground even more. And as I said, these couple of individuals, it was quite depressing this week, and that's why I thought, let's change the schedule slightly, let's change and talk about something different. And especially within our Asian community, we don't talk about these subjects. We don't within. The only way you can realize you've got a problem is actually to say, I've got a problem, and then you can do something about it. With our Asian community, we don't see anxiety and depression as an issue. We don't see that as an issue which probably prolongs stuff and goes down to long-term illness. And this is why I said I was very, very grateful that the individual rang me, and I says they're very, very grateful that the individual listens into my program, and that's what I said. I said, well, look, don't worry about it. Just listen in, sir. We will try and do something. We will try and cover something. And to be honest with you, literally what I'm just saying to you now is literally what I said to the individual. But for me, it was like, obviously, seek appropriate help, seek professional help, and what have you, and just take a day at a time.
Absolutely. You've always got to seek help, but know also that the doctor's never going to be there for you 24/7. So, we've got to stand on our own 2 feet sometimes, even if it's taking little steps.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you've got to take steps. You
Yeah.
can't stand still.
Yeah.
And staying in the house in particular, especially if you live on your own, there's a lot of stuff you want to do.
That's
so,
right.
I mean, when my marriage broke down, and this is 8 years ago now, social media was God meant for me, because when I was speaking about my problems on social media, I was putting the positive saying this is what I'm doing about it.
Yeah.
And suddenly the connections came in.
Yeah.
And when the connections came in, I connected so many people, I started to relate, I started to speak out,
Yeah.
and I started to feel better because I realised there is a support there.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah.
a friend that's
Yeah.
with. But you've also got to do something for yourself as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Hobby, whatever you're doing, you've got to keep yourself occupied.
Yeah.
Because when you keep yourself occupied, you get out of the house, that takes your mind off all the problems. But if you stay centered in the house, problems
Yeah.
are going to get bigger and
Yeah.
bigger, get worse.
And to be honest with you, this is why I've always said to people, I've always been an advocate of what's happening out there and what people are doing. And I've always been to talk to people, and I've always said to people, look, talk to people because it's so powerful. Just talk to people, and if you talk to somebody, maybe that you're not the only one who's going through this, because if you share your problem with somebody else, and if you share something that you are possibly talking about, or something that you feel you are suffering with, or if there's something you feel it's only you who's suffering, and what you try and do is you make sure, and furthermore, you make sure that maybe that little bit of information that you are sharing with somebody else, it'll trigger something in somebody that, a year ago I was down that route. I was in the doldrums, I was in the dumps, and suddenly somebody picked me up, and then, people forget about that, don't they?
People forget about that, but people also forget about what they have achieved in the past, because you can feel down and depressed, but you've got to remember there's things that you have done in the past
Yeah.
where you fell down and you've got through it somehow.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you've got to really live your past to really start to fully appreciate what courage you have to actually come through that.
Yeah.
I was funny to say, because I was doing a coaching session with a woman yesterday who is perimenopausal.
Yeah.
Obviously, I do positive sessions for people like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was saying to her was, don't mention the word menopause or depression or anxiety.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you mention those words, when you keep saying to yourself, I'm depressed,
Yeah.
it's those words alone that make you think, oh God, this is that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take those words out of the equation and speak from her heart. And she was speaking from her heart about what she really is.
Yeah.
And she's shocked. But the minute she mentioned those words, it did down again.
Because what it is you see, we have the, with those words that we have the vocabulary, when you mention those words, those mention mean something to you, and they trigger that part of your brain which says, I suffer from anxiety and depression. And it puts you in that mind frame, and that's what it's all about. Is the PMA that I always say to people is to have a positive mental attitude on life, positive mental attitude in everything that you do. And even though like in our Asian culture, there's this. Firstly, there isn't a phenomena of anxiety and depression, because they say, "Pagal hai, pagal hai, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you."
Yes,
and excuse me, in our culture, pagal is like you're mental. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. If somebody keeps on saying that to you so many times, you think, oh well, yeah, okay, I've got that. You accept it as a norm, don't you?
You accept it, yeah, because people are constantly telling you, which is why I always say, be careful with who you surround yourself by. And sometimes whether it's family members, whether it's because don't hold the fact that because they're family, I'm going to keep connected. They are giving you toxicity.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they are family.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they're close friends, even relatives. They do. If they give you toxicity, they don't belong to you. You should shut them out for your own mental well-being. You should be your life. You're going to continue.
And this is why people have always said, with regards to hanging around with like-minded people have always said to make sure that you always hang around with like-minded people. And the reason for that is people will certainly knock you down. People will certainly say certain things, but it's always best to hang around with like-minded people. But by hanging around with like-minded people, you're more likely to learn a lot more. But more importantly, the like-minded people will bring that positivity in you, which probably is your lacking. And sometimes, they can't really do much. But when you realize that you're around with a bit of positivity, they will certainly make that difference.
Absolutely. It's you become like the people you surround yourself by. So if you surround yourself by people who are consistently dragging you down, and again, be family, be friends, you're going to be staying on pace. But if you have the courage to take them out of your life, then that's when your personal growth truly starts. And like I said, in our culture, people are always thinking, because they're a relative, they're a father, we've got to respect it. Let me tell you something, guys. This is a modern day society, and gone are the days where you give respect for people demand it. Today is the era where respect is earned both ways. So if people want to be respected, they have to respect you back.
That's right.
If they can't do that, forget it. Take them out of your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they're family, friends, even, and I'll say it straight, even the mothers and fathers. If you've ever been toxic, they have no room for you in your life. If you're old enough, you need to get away from that toxicity, because it doesn't matter who it is. Toxicity is dangerous.
Because that is so dangerous, because it puts you in that particular segment, and then you're like in that little world of your own, and then that's it. You think the whole world's around you just collapsed.
Exactly, and also you lose your respect for yourself.
That's
and
it.
The question you're going to ask yourself is, if you continue to be surrounded yourself by these toxic people, even if they're your family, friend, relative, and you look at yourself in 6 months' time, are you going to be happy at the fact that you still stay in the same place because you continue to be connected with these people, or do you want to look at yourself in 6 months and say, I made so much progress because I made changes in my life. I took out the people that will really be advancing me.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. You've got to look at yourself. What do you want to be in the future? And what are you going to do now to make that future happen?
That's right. Viewers and listeners, you're listening to the Community Talk Show. I'm your host, Mohammed Amin, and inshallah, for the next couple of minutes, I'm still having a quick conversation with Satwinder Sagoo, who came into my studio last week. I thought it was important to touch base with him this week. And the reason why is because anxiety and depression is such a big issue in the community. And I just wanted to hone in on that just for this half hour today, because more and more people are suffering with anxiety and depression. The fact that utility bills have gone up, the fact that you switch on the television news and what's happening in Europe with the war, the utility bills are going up, bank base rates have gone up, so people have got mortgages. The knock-on effect will be your mortgages will go up, and unfortunately it's doom and gloom out there. And if you're not already in the anxiety and depression, they'll certainly put you into anxiety and depression. And all I'm explaining to people is, look, it is manageable if you take it in small chunks at a time. And with anxiety and depression, it's all about positive mental attitude. And this is why Satwinder has been explaining to me with regards to what he does. Bearing in mind, he's got his own gym, as we discussed last week and we discussed earlier on in our call today. He's got his own gym. He starts off with a positive mental attitude, makes sure he does his fitness regime on a daily basis. And that is so important. So if those of you who are off sick or laid off from work or don't go to work at all, then maybe you need to seriously think about it. Those of us who are working, those of us who are working for larger companies, there's something that I mentioned to the gentleman, Satwinder, was most employers have this, and it's like a confidential employee assistance program. They call it EAP for short. But what that means basically is like you've got access to a number from work, and all you do is ring that number and you say you're from that company. That's it. You don't have to give your name. You don't have to say anything else. And then you talk to an independent person. Because I'm talking to an independent person, they don't know me. They don't know my background. They don't know what type of job I'm doing, but they're prepared to listen to me. And these are the people who possibly, the fact that I'm listening to an independent person, sometimes it does help. And obviously there's other statutory services available like the Samaritans, who do a fantastic job. They talk to people, and where people are lonely, they don't have anybody to talk to, and they don't want to talk to their family members, because if I talk to my family members, my family will say, yeah, Amin's got this illness, and Amin's talking to this about this and what have you. Whereas if you talk to these independent people, they will make that difference. And the fact is, that bit that Satwinder's just covered off, if you don't talk about it, you locked it inside, as soon as it comes out, it makes a massive difference, doesn't it, Satwinder?
Absolutely. It's energy that everyone needs to release, and yet you've got to have your moments where you feel down, where you're crying. Don't be afraid to unleash them energy, because once you unleash them, you can put it out into them. And then once you've done that, you can then sit down and say, right, what am I going to do about this? But at the end of the day, life is all about solution. It's not a case of wondering, oh, why did this happen? Why did that happen? The past has happened. You cannot change what's happened in the past. What you can change is what difference you can make in the future and what you do now.
Yeah.
So it's a case of sitting down and saying, right, this has happened. How do I move on from there? What do I do now? What's the solution moving forward? Because, life's only going to move on. We're only getting older. And the longer we sit there, imprisoned by our negative thinking as to why has this happened, we're wasting so much more time, we're losing valuable time to find a solution and make progress.
Yeah.
And for me, that's just so important.
Yeah. And this is whereby, as I said to you earlier on, I think firstly I got to identify the problem, and the fact that I'm crying for help, I'm identifying the problem, I'm talking to individuals, and furthermore what I'm doing is basically addressing the issue. But if I take it small steps in time, for example, I don't know, not that I can train for a marathon or anything like that, but if I don't go for my walks and suddenly go for a walk, my back will be aching, my legs will be aching or what have you. If I do that I don't know, 500 meters the first day, 1,000 meters the next day, 1,500 the next day, 2,000 the day after. By end of the week, you ask me to walk 10,000 steps or 10,000 meters. It's not possible. It's not possible, because by that time my body would have been used to these small steps and small strides that I'm taking. And this is where, when they say, on average we all should do about 10,000 steps a day, and if you don't do 10,000 steps a day, you got to build it up slowly, and it is doable.
Oh, absolutely. It is very, very doable. And it's like you say, you just mentioned there, small steps. And that's what it's about, taking small steps, because and this book I read is called Compact Method. And what it says is that when you take small steps daily on something, the results don't show straight away, but over time the results are absolutely massive, because you consistently.
And let me give you something. Oh gosh, this is something I learned many years ago. If I want to read 4 pages out of my, I don't know, and this idea goes out to any young children who are adults who are listening as well, with exams coming up as well. If you read 4 pages and expect to regurgitate that, you can't do it. It's just not possible unless you got a photographic memory that you look at those 4 pages. So that's what they say. Day 1, look at page 1. Just read the page 1, forget about it. Day 2, read page 2. And then day 3, read all the pages 1 and 2. And then day 4, read page 3 again. And then day 4, read all 4 pages again. Because you are being repetitive in what you are doing with your learning style, suddenly it will still drop. If I sit down and say, right, I'm going to read all 4 pages today, I've got an exam tomorrow, I won't do it. I won't be able to do it, because your mind and your memory just will not hold that information, because it's just not feasible. What they firstly also say is, look, on your 4 pages, look at your first page, make a summary, make a mind map, put some scribbly things on a diagram on a sheet of paper, and then day 2, do the same thing, and then look at your diagrams on day 1 and day 2, first thing in the morning, and then have a look at it. And then day 3, do the same. Day 4, have a quick overview. And, even now, and I say I learned this many years ago, even now when I'm sitting there and trying to think of a project or something I have to do, guess what? The old A3 sheet of paper comes out, and I start writing my little diagrams and little squiggly bubbles and everything, and I put certain comments in it, and then I'm thinking, right, A plus B, I link that, and before I know it, what I've done is I've planned to succeed, not planning to fail. And the reason why is, if I read those 4 pages, I'm literally planning to fail. But because I read those page at a time, made those spider diagrams, and work towards it, I know on the 4th day, 5th day, when I write out my report or whatever I'm going to do with that information, it's there and it'll come back to you. And certain things for certain people work better with regards to different colors, work better with certain people. Certain people remember, right, in red, what does that red mean? What does that amber mean? What does that green mean? I mean, obviously we know it's a traffic light system, right? But how many people will say, yeah, it's red, and then it's red amber, and then it's green? And you say, no, it's not red amber. Well, it is. If you look at the lights on the sequence, that's how the sequence works. But people think, no, it's red, amber, green. And it isn't. You got to watch, and the same thing the other way around. It's green, and then it's green, amber, and then it's red. So it's all that. It's all trying to capture all that as well, isn't it? And suddenly, by doing these smaller steps, people will improve their quality of life, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about the traffic light thing. I mean, it depends which way, really. You can either say green, amber, red, which means you're going and then you stop it, or
that's
you
it.
go red, which means you stop and then you're going.
Yeah.
I always like to go. What I do is, when I get some of my clients to work with my program, I get them to write their negative thoughts in red because it makes them stop.
That's it. It makes you stop and think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get them to write their positive equivalent to that in green.
Green, yeah.
Which means they can go, and then I get them to cross out the red in green. So suddenly all they've got focused on is what the positive thinking is, and they stick that on the wall, and suddenly they're looking at those negative thoughts. That's crossed out. I don't need that.
I don't need that anymore in my mind. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing about it, is all those thoughts in red are negative. Right, I need to convert them into green. So I know I've got my green on my right hand side. In the middle is my amber. What of the reds can I move into my amber for today? Right, I can't do overnight. I can't get the red into my green today. But if I can get my red into my amber today, that's today done and over with. I read it again, revisit that again tomorrow morning, and then get my amber moved into my green, and then suddenly from my red, I've got one less to worry about.
Absolutely. Yep, you hit it on the nail there.
Yeah.
And life is all about that.
Yeah.
Life's always going to have challenges. We have to accept that. Nothing ever bothers you.
Yeah.
You're always going to get sometimes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people say, life is full of challenges. Life isn't as a bed of roses as they normally say. There are challenges and ups and downs. It's how you address them, how you deal with them, and how you, going back to my original statement to use, what you do to pick yourself up to get back going again. And it's small bite-sized chunks make a massive difference, don't they?
Absolutely. Small bite-sized chunks. But the bottom line is you have to respond every single time. I mean, I always view my life like a football match.
Yeah.
When you press your kind of you're attacking your goals.
Yeah.
And obviously what you're doing is you're always finding a way around to win. You're always sort of pushing for a winner. And when your back's against the wall, you've got responsibility with 2 goals down.
It's like, I like your analogy, whether it's our local teams, whether it's Aston Villa, Wolverhampton Wanderers, whether it's Birmingham, whether it's Walsall in the Midlands here, or whether it's the Premier League, the likes of Manchester United and the Liverpool, Tottenhams of this world. All of those players, every game that they play, they come out to win. That's the attitude that they always have. And yet, the way the game goes, you will always get winners and losers. But, if for argument's sake, one team consistently comes out, those 11 players consistently come out and they lose, next game they come out, consistently lose, they don't go back into their dressing rooms and say, right, that's it, I'm going to put my shoes up because I've lost and I've lost and I've lost. What they're constantly turning around is, look, we're going to train better next week. We're going to train better next week. On the next game, we want to deliver. And you can see that pattern. Okay, certain examples I've given you with certain Premier League teams. They win one, they lose one. Some of them, there's no consistency. And the Man Cities of this world, well, we know, they come out and they win. But, this is why it's so important with regards to sportsmanship and what have you. And that's what they say with sportsmanship, is like they have this positive attitude. But all of that is the training of their mind. Obviously, they, train vigorously because that's their full-time job. But admittedly, the process that we talked about is what they do, don't they?
Yeah, the process is exactly what it is. I know you always say, when the attitude to life will give you setbacks. When you're 2 goals down, you can go back up and score 3 goals. When you're 3 goals down, you can go back up and score 4 or 5. And teams have done that. I mean, you've seen it when teams have been 4-0 down, they've come up to win 5-4. And the body, it's the same with life. That shoot sometimes life can put you 3-4 goals down, but then it's down to you to come back and score 5 or 6 goals.
Yeah.
You've always got to respond. To setbacks, you've no choice. You've got to respond. Because if you stay down, then you're not doing anything. You've got to respond every single time, and you can't. We've got doctors and medical advice, but we can't rely on them 24/7. They're not our remote control. We control what we think, what we feel, what we do. So it's always going to be down to us, no matter who gives us advice, to get up and take action.
And this is what I say to people. Obviously, if you've got an underlying medical condition, underlying health condition, they are the practitioners, they are the professional trained people or what have you. But the fact that they have given you some medication or what have you, and for this type of condition, you have to get up and go yourself. You can't become a couch potato. You have to get up and give, and then try and do something else. And those of us are working. You're off on sick or long-term illness or absence from work. Try and go out for a walk, maybe twice a day or what have you, and and try and just little bit of positivity. I know definitely for certain, you go for a walk, a bit of greenery, go for a walk in a park or something, it makes a massive difference to your attitude when you come back. Okay, you're a bit more tired, but you burn off those calories, but those endorphins, those positive endorphins that come back into your system as well, that makes a massive difference to your attitude as well. And maybe you meet somebody in the park and they talk about their problems, whatever you, and this is going what we said earlier on about talking to somebody. A problem shared is a problem half, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've lived in this house of mine, besides having a relationship around there, I've lived in this house alone for 8 years on my own.
Bless you.
Right? I celebrate Christmas on my own, and honestly, it's the best Christmas I ever had. I celebrate Easter like last year,
Yeah.
November, after taking my daughter to September, in November, I took myself to all the towers to buy it. So I enjoyed it. It's self-love. I've got, at home, I've got obviously the positivity, but I've also got my Xbox. I love video games.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've got an Xbox. But the bottom line is, find something that you really love doing. It could be something as simple as you love making jigsaw.
Yeah.
You love drawing. But find something to keep you on top, because when you connect with what you love, then it takes you back to things. And when you start to do things like that, you start to realize that, I'm actually liking this. And this Christmas, the last 2 Christmases, I had all by myself. And all I do is I go out, have breakfast in the sandwich shop, come back, buy my little nibbles, I'm in front of the Xbox and TV all day long. It's the best Christmas I ever had, because I do it for me. And I used to worry about the fact that, Christmas was about having it with families and friends.
Families and friends, yeah.
Somebody else's pocket. You don't have to put your happiness in somebody else's pocket.
Yeah.
You do it for you, and you have the power to make yourself happy, because you can make yourself happy.
And sometimes whether you sitting at home watching sitcoms, or whether you sitting at home watching your own film on any one of the platforms, or whether you sitting at home and playing with your computer games or whatever you, that's your time, that's me time, isn't it? And at the end of the day, try and get involved. I mean, the other thing I've always said to people is try and get involved into a community activity. If, for argument's sake, you live in an area where litter is an issue, try and get involved in a community activity like a litter picking team. And the fact that you're out and about, walking up and down the road, you're helping the community. Because you are doing something good, that positive energy suddenly comes back into your system without you realizing.
Oh God, yeah, without question. It's because it's what you choose to do. It's what you choose to do. It's your mindset. Like I said, I come home, I'm working out, doing my playing on the Xbox, listening to music. I listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
Those are things that keep me going, that keep me buzzing, that keep me being positive.
Yeah.
It's because the responsibility is always on our shoulders to connect with ourselves.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is going to find you better than you. Nobody else is going to know you better than you. So nobody else is going to find out more about what you've done than you yourself.
That's right. And at the end of the day, for yourself, what you then do is you sit down and you say, right, what do I want to do with myself? Do I want to get involved into a community action group, or do I want to go myself into a community empowerment group or litter picking group? What do I want to do? And if you've got a burning desire to do something, but there's nothing around, just get up and set one up. There's not a problem. There's plenty of spaces available. For example, there's an organization called greenspaces.org. And basically what they do is they put like-minded people together, and they tell you where your local litter picking group is and what have you. And all these are professional people. I've come across quite a few last year, and professional people who've got really powerful jobs, but at weekends they like to do something different. And that something different is that literally going around picking up litter, and you'll be surprised how powerful that feels, because they've done something good to the environment that they live in.
Well, here's something I want to share. I'm 40. I'm going to be 43 this year. Okay, in July.
Right.
Now, for a 43-year-old, this, I am probably 2 inches away from doing a full-size lift. That is you know, what you call paying attention to yourself, putting yourself there, doing things for you.
Yeah.
You know, just to do it, when you realise what you're putting up with, do things for yourself. And I've just consistently done it. And there's so much to do. I mean, I think I said this at the show, but because I've done it consistently for myself for years, I'm now getting excited about potential projects and doing it somewhere where I'm actually going to have a videographer. I'm going to dress up in Mortal Kombat character costume.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Well, I'm doing...
But a proper martial arts training and stuff.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm training stuff on. So I'll be doing a stuff bill as Raiden and then stuff bill as Sub-Zero. And that excites me, but I would have got to that level if I didn't find myself, discover myself, and keep paying attention.
But you kept on pushing yourself, even when the chips were down. You kept on pushing yourself to get back up again, isn't it? And to be honest with you, this is the reason why I wanted to use you as an example. And you were an inspiration last week, and this is why I thought, right, I got an idea. Let's not pick on any particular individual or what have you, but more importantly, if people can relate to this conversation, I can complain about the traffic, I can complain about the pollution, I can complain about the things. Some of these things are out of my hands or what have you, but I know I can make a difference. I know I can make a difference by doing my litter picking and what have you. And then that's what you do. You get on with that. And if you can make that difference, by the way, litter picking doesn't cost you anything. More importantly, suddenly you're moving about. And my example of your 10,000 steps, before you know it, you've done more than 10,000 steps and you feel better for yourself for what you've achieved.
Absolutely. I'm not very active, but being out and just speaking to people, even if it's going to say hi, or it's going to be a conversation.
Yeah.
That makes us so much.
Yeah.
Another thing that has happened to me and how I have put myself up, when we did that thing,
Yeah.
everybody who did that thing, we were looking at that, oh my God, that is insane.
Yeah.
Because people do that, but what I've been through and how I really broke, but how I picked myself up and made the most stunning comeback. Anybody who's ever reads my book, you'll look at that and think, oh my God, it's stunning.
Yeah.
You'll feel the only one to do that yourself.
Yeah.
So on that note, if anybody wants to buy a copy of my book, visit www.satwindersagoo.com. I repeat, www.satwindersagoo.com. Grab a copy of my book, because I've already know on sometimes people are going crazy with you.
Thank you.
Honestly, read the stories in there. Oh my God, you will be absolutely blown away, and you will want to do the same as well. Because people have come to me and said, if it wasn't for your book.
No, it's fantastic. And then, like I said to you, literally on the back of our program for last week, because a number of people have mentioned it to me, a number of people have viewed that program, and obviously a number of people view my recordings as well. That's why I thought this was such a powerful message that we were putting out. And even though we were having a conversation in the studio, a number of people related to that, you see. And as I said, I had personal phone calls from people who I'd never met in my life. Okay. And these people who got my details and said, right, what about this? And I thought, wow, hang on a minute, this is mind blowing. And that's what I said. Okay, give me an opportunity. And some of my scheduling, I literally work out my scheduling like maybe on a Wednesday for what I'm doing on a Thursday. But some of these are literally last minute scheduling because more and more people were asking appropriate questions. And it felt as if these guys are looking up to me to say, what guidance can I give you? And I said, look, guys, I can't give you enough guidance, but I can give you an example. And all I say is listen to my recordings. And if that will help you, that will improve you. And if that will improve your lifestyle and what you're aiming to do, that will improve your social well-being. And if that improves you in your work environment, then it's fantastic. Anyway, Satwinder, lovely talking to you. Really appreciate your time this evening at short notice. Thank you very much once again. And as I said to you before, we will keep in touch and let's make this a regular thing because I've seen you train this week and are thinking, Guy, where does he get this energy from? Because I love to be in that position with your weight training and what have you, and then go out and do my job. You know, it's not easy what you do, but persevere with it. And as I said, I will be following you with good interest. And just give the details of your website once again, please.
It's www.satwindersagoo.com. Yes, a lot of people www.satwindersagoo.com. Go on there, click on the book. My book is there, and you can purchase it. Like I said, I'm running low on stock. What I would do is anybody who wants a personal positive message, if there's anything in particular you want me to write, let me.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Satwinder. Lovely talking to you. Really appreciate your time this evening, and touch base with you soon again. Thank you very much. Take care. Have a good evening. Goodbye. Viewers and listeners, there we are. We've just gone over my scheduled time. Apologies, I was a bit late today, but we made up for the full hour. And once again, thank you very much for listening into our program. And all our program recordings will be available on YouTube. And those of you who are watching me on Facebook Live, thank you very much for the time and effort. Really appreciate it. I didn't give a shout out to you today. And once again, thank you very much. It's lovely to see people are listening in, and if you can take something back from this, is that you are responsible for your destiny. You are responsible for your actions, and you are responsible for your destiny. You can make a massive improvement into your life by changing your life by small bite size. And that's what we were talking about. Whether you're educated or not, whether you're a graduate or not, it's irrelevant. If you decide you want to set a goal, anybody can set a goal, but in small bite-sized chunks, it is doable, and take each day at a time. And this is why the example we've covered with Satwinder is, in summary, was like, if you want to read 4 pages of a book, there's no way near you'll remember the 4 pages on day 1. Read page 1 today, forget about it. Read page 2 tomorrow. Read page 3 the day after, read page 4 on day 4, then read all of those pages, and gradually you will remember what you read on page 1 and page 2, and it all makes sense. Once again, thank you very much for spending the time with me this evening. I really appreciate your following, and inshallah we'll come back on next week with another guest of mine. But in the meantime, if there's any topics or anything you want us to cover, please drop us a line. Our number is, as always, 07944 808 141, and a recording of these programs are available on our YouTube site and our Facebook recording. So thank you very much, and look after yourself, and Khuda Hafiz.